So good morning again to you all. Welcome to this webinar about living and working in Norway. My name is Susana Paes. I work for EURES Portugal. EURES Portugal, which operates within the Public Employment Service, the EEFP. And first of all, I would like to thank again our colleagues from Norway that have joined us in this morning, Anliv, Sandrine, Blanka, and Eli. They kindly agreed to organize this webinar together with us, so I really appreciate it. I also have with me Carmen and Andrea from EURES Portugal that will help with technical issues and helping you also on the chat. And now that I've introduced the team, I would like to go over some brief rules that we should follow during the session so that everything runs smoothly. We have estimated that the webinar takes 1 hour, and we left some time for questions and answers in the end. And we want to ask you that during the presentations, since we are already a lot of participants, and we want to give you the best possible experience, we want to ask you to keep your cameras off and your microphones off as well, so that the network may work properly and we avoid any noises. So that is a possibility that we took off from you, but in the end, you will be able to open them to ask your questions. You raise your hand to speak, and we will give you permission to turn on your mic and your microphone. Okay, in the end, after we finish, we ask you to leave the session, and later on we will share with you this presentation along with any other important information that we give you during this morning. So these are the rules. And now just want to present to you very briefly the EURES network, because many of you may not know it, and it's because the EURES network exists that we are here today in this morning. So EURES is a network where European employment services cooperate, and our objective is to facilitate the free movement of workers within the European Union and the European Economic Area. And these regions includes the 27 member states, EU member states, Norway, Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Switzerland. We provide free of charge services both to job seekers and employers. And this can be information, advice, support to recruitment, or any other service. And in order to provide these, we have a network of EURES advisors. EURES advisors are experts in mobility. They are around 32 in Portugal, but and spread all over the country. But all over Europe, there are more than 1,000 EURES advisors ready to support you in your career move. To help you, we also have an EURES portal. There you can find on a daily basis more than 3 million job vacancies available in all sorts of occupations. There is also an online platform where we organize recruitment events, online recruitment events. It's called European Job Days. We are also available on chat on Fridays. And of course, you have our social media where you can follow all the activities we have planned for the near future. So this is really brief because without further delay, I want to pass the floor to our Norwegian colleagues so that they can continue and start their presentation. So I pass the floor to you. It will be Sandrine starting or Blanka, I'm not sure.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sandrine, and my colleagues Blanka, Eli, and myself, we welcome you to our presentation about living and working in Norway. I will start with a few facts about Norway. In terms of population, Norway is a small country with only 5.5 million inhabitants. But by size, Norway is the 7th largest country in Europe, believe it or not, with a long coastline and great distances. It's quite common to have to travel by plane between cities and parts of Norway because the distances in some places are so large. Regarding the situation on the labor market, the unemployment rate was for 2.4% in May, which is quite low, but it's expected to increase a bit during the year. The most common salary in Norway, which means the salary range which most people earn in a full-time job, is between 40,000 and 45,000 Norwegian crowns per month before tax, gross, which is the equivalent of 3,500 to 3,900 euros per month. But note that there are lower salaries and higher salaries than that, depending on the type of job, on the skills required, and on the sector. The average income tax is approximately 1/3 of your monthly salary. It varies with the salary that you earn, as the more you earn, the more tax you have to pay. The income tax is withdrawn from your gross salary every month by your employer. And important to know, it includes the social security contribution, which is 7.8% of your gross salary. The ordinary working hours per week are 35.5 until for maximum 40 hours per week. Shift workers work maximum 35 hours per week. The standard working hours are usually between 8 or 9 in the morning until 4 or 5 in the afternoon, including a 30 minutes lunch break, which is normally unpaid. Craft workers in industry and construction often work from 7 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. Blanka, could you tell us why anyone should choose Norway?
Yes, thank you, Sandrine, and hello, everyone. My name is Blanka, and now I would like to talk about reasons for choosing Norway. So why would you choose Norway? First, I have to say that Norway is not for everyone, but there are many reasons why people look to Norway. First of all, let's talk about many professional opportunities, meaning that you can start in a job, develop professionally throughout your working life, by promotion to better skilled jobs, lifelong learning, and personal development at work. And of course, let's talk about competitive and stable salary conditions. So salaries are decided according to collective wages agreements between the employers' organizations and the trade unions every year. And there is no general minimum salary in Norway, but there are minimum salaries in various sectors, like, for example, construction, cleaning, hotel, restaurant and catering, the maritime construction industry, agriculture, transport by road, electricians, just to name a few. And the working life and the working conditions in Norway are well organized and regulated. In terms of quality of life, there is a high standard of living and a good work-life balance. This is a real Norwegian value. It is possible to have spare time and time for the family and friends after work. When it comes to the work environment in Norway, it is characterized by low hierarchy, and there is a strong sense of equality at work. In Norway, we believe that everyone is equal, regardless of gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, religion, social status, or political views. And almost as many women as men work in Norway. Additionally, men and women complete higher education in almost equal numbers. And last but not least, Norway is an exotic destination in itself, and many adventures await. There is a lot of nature and space and great possibilities for outdoor activities. And now let's talk a bit more about working life. Norwegian workplaces normally have a flat structure. So we can say that it's difficult to see who the boss is, but what it means in practice, it means that all employees can express their opinion freely. For example, if employees have an idea of how tasks can be carried out, they are encouraged to state this idea. And the same principle applies if you disagree with a colleague or a manager. However, once a final decision is made, the employees are, of course, encouraged or expected to support it. When it comes to dress code, generally we have informal dress code in Norway, but formal clothing is expected of business people in Norway, and prior appointments are, of course, necessary. And Norway has a high trade unions density, and about half of the Norwegian workforce are organized members. A trade union represents you and your interest on different levels. We Norwegians, we are known for the tendency to avoid conflicts, that's true. And but we are also seen as others are maybe a bit reserved and maybe rude. But in fact, this is how we think about to be polite and respect each other's space. And Norwegian employers expect the employees to work independently and take initiative. We have a culture of supporting each other at the workplace. So co-workers are seen as helpful resources rather than competitors. In meetings, we like to have an agenda, and it's important to wait in turns to say something in meetings, so usually by raising your hand. We also like to have a plan, and indirect orders are normal and common practice. Punctuality is really important in Norway, so it can be a sign of disrespect if somebody is late for meetings or appointments. And once again, work-life balance. This is a real Norwegian value. We have a high priority on family relationships. In addition, many Norwegians feel close ties to nature and enjoy spending time outdoors. The Norwegian attitude, to sum it up, is working to live rather than living to work. So that's it when it comes to working life, and back to you, Sandrine.
Thank you, Blanka. Now we go to the job market, and here you see the main professions and jobs that are in demand in Norway, which means that where the most people are in demand. In healthcare, general nurses to hospitals, to care homes, and also to home-based healthcare. Specialized nurses like theater nurses, intensive care nurses, doctor specialists, many specialties, medical specialties in need, gastroenterology, oncology, neurology, rheumatology, radiology, and many more. General practitioners are needed, especially to smaller places. Pharmacists, optometrists, midwives, psychologists, and psychiatrists. In tourism and hospitality, cooks and chefs, waiters and waitresses, bartenders and sommeliers, both permanent staff and seasonal staff for both summer and winter season. Other seasonal stuff which is needed are guides, nature guides, rafting guides, ski instructors, ski resort workers like snowcat operators or ski lift operators. In transport, we have a huge demand for bus drivers, for truck drivers, lorry drivers. In IT, professionals needed are within software development and system development, digital communication, information security and computer security, data analysis, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and service design. And the list continues. In services, there is a huge need for mechanics for cars, buses, trucks, and also for construction engines. There's a need for machine mechanics and for hairdressers and barbers. In childcare and education, preschool or kindergarten teachers and school teachers. In industry, electricians, mechanics, automaticians, plumbers, welders and sheet metal workers, process operators and machine operators, logistic workers and meat cutters. And engineers in various fields, electrical, mechanical, automation, subsea, piping, structure, and geoscience, and more. Speaking of industry, there are two emerging industries in Norway that need a lot of candidates, the battery industry and the wind industry, the wind energy. Several factories for battery production are both in function and under planning. And when it comes to the wind industry, Norway is planning to establish offshore windmill parks in the North Sea. The development of offshore wind parks can start towards the end of the 2020s. Construction and civil works, skilled electricians, flooring workers, plumbers, drivers of construction engines and cranes, service technicians in electronics, welders and sheet metal workers, and engineers in heating and ventilation in the construction, and otherwise different types of engineers in civil works. Please note that there has been a downturn in the construction sector since 2022, with increasing unemployment and a lower demand for workers is expected during 2024. Overall, please note that many of these professions I've just listed require a good knowledge of the Norwegian language, especially those which require a contact with patients, children, pupils, customers, clients, and passengers. Most people in Norway speak English very well. Children learn English in Norway at school already from the age of 6. However, the working language in Norway is Norwegian. Nevertheless, working in English is common in many workplaces, at some international companies, in the offshore sector, and in many companies where there is a real demand for skilled workers or for seasonal workers. That said, even though you may start working only speaking English, your employer may require that you learn Norwegian eventually. But many jobs or professions do require good Norwegian language skills, as I said, and that would be working in healthcare, in kindergartens and schools, in customer service and passenger transport, and in marketing and sales. We strongly recommend that you start learning Norwegian as soon as possible, because not only will speaking Norwegian considerably increase your chances to find a job, it will also be very important for your social life and your integration in Norway, no matter how long you intend to stay. Furthermore, getting a social network could also increase your chances to find a job. Many people indeed find a job through their personal contacts in Norway. On top of your screen, you see a free online Norwegian language course. So it's for free, and it's a very good start. And on the next link that you see on your screen, you get the full list of providers of Norwegian language courses, both classroom courses and online courses by the Norwegian Directorate for Higher Education. Many municipalities in Norway also provide Norwegian language courses, and these courses are payable, so they are not for free. And you find information on the language courses on the website of the municipality where you intend to live. Recognition of your education is not always obligatory, but it is in some professions like school teachers and preschool teachers, but also for crane operators and forklift truck operators. It's also obligatory in case you wish to study in Norway, or in the case an employer really asks you to provide a document proving your education or your qualifications. The Directorate of Higher Education and Skills is the Norwegian authority to contact for the recognition of foreign qualifications in Norway. There are five types of recognition. Recognition of higher education, bachelor, master, and PhD. Vocational education, tertiary vocational education, head of kindergarten or educational supervisor in preschool, or preschool teacher, if you like, and teacher qualifications in school. On the other hand, there is what is obligatory is an authorization or license to practice the many professions and crafts that are regulated in Norway. It means that for these professions, you must have obtained an authorization to be allowed to practice your profession or craft. Check if your profession or craft is regulated on the website that you see on your screen for regulated professions. Examples of regulated professions and crafts are all healthcare personnel are supposed to have an authorization, electricians, but also accountants and auditors. Be aware that the recognition or authorization process may take a long time, even up to 4 months. On the Norway page on the European Job Days website that you see on top of this page, you will find detailed information on how to look for jobs in the document called Looking for Work in Norway. If you are an IT professional or a teacher or preschool teacher, you will also find some relevant websites for your job search on this page. The most common places to look for jobs in Norway are, first of all, arbeidsplassen.no. They are listed on your screen. It is the arbeidsplassen.no is the official job portal in Norway. Most job vacancies there are in Norwegian, so you must use a translation tool. But you can search for job vacancies in English simply by writing the keyword English in the search field. The EURES portal, which is the European job portal, there all the jobs that are listed on arbeidsplassen.no, the job portal that I mentioned for you, are listed on the EURES portal. The advantage that you have using the EURES portal is you can do search in your own language, because the EURES portal is in all the European languages, which makes it easier for you to define your job search by job category. A little tip here, check first the job vacancies which are marked with EURES flag. It means that the employers are actively looking for European candidates to these jobs. Social media is very much used in recruitment in Norway, mainly LinkedIn and Facebook, but in other social media as well, like Instagram, for example. So if you have a profile on LinkedIn and Facebook, use it in your job search as well. And because many jobs in Norway are not advertised on job portals, another way of looking for jobs is to go directly to company website and to check their career pages. To find the companies in Norway, the easiest way is on the yellow pages, gulesider.no. Before applying for a job, you have to read the job description carefully and check out the company's website to get a good understanding of the job and of the company you apply to. If anything isn't clear, or if you're not sure you have the right profile or qualifications, you can call or email the person mentioned in the job description. There is a reason why a person to contact is mentioned there in the job description. It's for you to call, to ask questions, and to show your interest for the job. Whether you apply by email or online, prepare a specific letter of application. The golden rule is 1 letter of application for 1 job. The letter should be short and straight to the point. About half a page is enough, and it must show that you have understood what the job is about and that you are motivated for it, that you have what it takes to get the job, and your motivation for Norway and eventually to learn Norwegian. Regarding the CV, 1 page is the most common. 2 pages should be a maximum. A photo is not obligatory unless it's specified in the job description, but it is more and more common, and it is allowed, but not obligatory. It is important that you adapt your CV to the job. Write a short summary of your professional profile on top of your CV. Mention your studies or your work experience first, depending on which is the most relevant to the job. And write your CV in a decreasing chronological order. If you have any, mention references on the bottom of your CV, because Norwegian companies check references, so giving the name of 1 or 2 references is really an asset. As I said earlier, you will find more information on how to apply for jobs on the Norway page of the European Job Days website. My colleagues will write the link to this page in the chat eventually. You have it also on the screen. You can also find several CV examples on the websites of NTNU, the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, and you can also use the Europass CV if you wish. And last but not least, always follow up your job application. About 10 days after submitting it, call or email the contact person and ask how your application is doing. When it comes to formalities, when you found a job and you move to Norway, there are formalities that you must comply with. From the official guide workinnorway.no, you access information about working conditions and your rights and obligations as a worker on the website of the Labour Inspection that you can see on the right side of your screen. You find also information about taxation and registration in the population registry, which is also obligatory. About social security, note that in Norway you become a member of the National Social Security Scheme on your first day of work. About the right of residence and work, if you are a European national, you don't need a work permit, but you must register with the immigration authorities within the first 3 months of your stay in Norway. If you are a non-EU national, you need a work permit before you can come to Norway and work. Please note that since Norway is not an EU country, your residence and work permit in an EU country, like Portugal, for example, is not valid for Norway. You find all the information about work and residence permit on workinnorway.no. Finding housing in Norway is not always easy and it can be expensive. Remember that the closer to big cities you choose to live, the higher the price of housing. Even though there might be big price differences within the same big city. Expenses for housing range from approximately 30 to 44% of a family's budget in Norway. If you are a family with 2 salaries, you can manage in or around bigger cities. But if you are a 1 salary family, your best option is living in a more remote place, further away from the biggest cities. In Norway, most people own their own house or apartment, but coming from abroad, rental would probably be your first option. Be aware that when you rent, you must often pay 3 months' rent in advance as deposit. If you are in a job search process, check if the employer can help you find accommodation in the area, or even if it provides accommodation. Because some employers do provide accommodation, at least for your first weeks or months in Norway, until you find your own place to live. If you have to find accommodation on your own, here are the most relevant websites. A widely used website is the one on top of your screen, finn.no/eiendom. It is a private website where anyone, like private persons and real estate agencies, can put an advertisement. Tilsalgs means housing for sale, and til leie means housing for rent. The two other websites on your screen are for rentals. It's a non-exhaustive list. It's Utleiemegleren and hybel.no. As you could see on the video earlier, there's a lot of nature and space in Norway, which gives various possibilities for outdoor activities. There are 4 distinct seasons in Norway, and the climate in Norway is actually something that all Norwegians always talk about, because it can vary a lot, and depending on the season and the location. A combination of humidity, western winds, and the Gulf Streams gives a much milder climate that you can expect that far north. The temperatures can vary from plus 30 in the summer in some places until minus 30 in the winter in other places, depending on the location and the time of year. When you live in Norway, you have to enjoy the nice weather when it's there, as you never know how long it's going to last, and it can change rapidly. The thing to know about Norway is that the period of daylight all through the year. In the winter months, the days are short. The sun rises late and night falls early, while in the summer it's the opposite, and the days are long with early sunrise and bright nights until very late, which gives you lots of time to enjoy nature, family, and life. The further up north you get, the longer the days in the summer and the shorter the days in the winter. Let me now introduce you more in details to the different parts of Norway. In southern Norway, there are a lot of small coastal towns of whitewashed timber houses with a complex network of bays and skerries. Kristiansand and Arendal are the biggest towns in the region. The climate is relatively mild all year round, and in this region there is process industry, including the newly established battery industry, but also summer tourism. The eastern part of Norway is home to half of Norway's population. The capital, Oslo, and Norway's main airport, Oslo Airport Gardermoen, are located there, in the heart of the region. The climate is mild in the coastal area, while the winter is cold and dry with lots of snow in the mountains. In the inland, you will find the best places in Norway for downhill and cross-country skiing in the winter, but also great mountains to go hiking in spring and summer, and also the largest lakes, rivers, and widest forests. The sectors present are numerous: forestry industry and agriculture, oil and gas, ICT and technology in the greater Oslo area, winter and summer tourism, trade, banking, and insurance. And mid-Norway, so the middle of Norway, is one of the most fertile regions of Norway, with a lot of agriculture in the flat land around the Trondheimsfjord. It's the reason why the largest climate it's the region with the largest climate variations. It's mild and wet winters at the coast and very cold winters in the inland. The largest city and the 4th biggest city in the country is Trondheim, and with NTNU, the largest university in Norway for science and technology, it is a leader in innovation and known as Norway's capital of knowledge. Trondheim is also known now as Norway's food capital, with many award-winning chefs. The aquaculture is an all-important sector in that part of Norway, as the 2nd largest export industry in Norway and the largest in the county of Trøndelag. The western part of Norway is probably best known for its fantastic scenery, with its fjords and waterfalls and steep mountains. Bergen and Stavanger are the 2 largest cities, Stavanger being best known as the capital for being the oil and gas, the core of the oil and gas industry in Norway. The climate is temperate with a lot of rain and windy weather and mild winters. This is thanks to the Gulf Stream. Rain is more common there than snow. 25% of the population lives there. And the other important industries, except oil and gas in and around Stavanger, are tourism and also aquaculture. Northern Norway is mostly known for its diverse and spectacular nature, which is what makes this Arctic region a popular travel destination, both winter and summer. It's a large region, which stands for 35% of the area in mainland Norway, so it's big, while housing only 9% of the population. The counties of Troms and Finnmark make the coldest region in Norway. There are major variation in climate and temperature between the coast and inland. It is the land of the midnight sun during the summer and of the polar nights and of the northern lights in the winter. It is also home to the indigenous Sami people. Fish farming is one of the most important industries, and the tourism industry is blooming. I thank you for your attention. Welcome to Norway. Velkommen til Norge. And now you can ask your questions in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandrine. Thank you very much. Just before giving the floor to our candidates, I would just like to show you a little bit about, let me put it, okay, about a project. It's called EURES Targeted Mobility Scheme. I would like you to know of the existence of this support program. It's an European mobility program. We call it TMS for short. It's financed by the European Commission and is designed to help European citizens exercise their right to freedom of movement inside the EU.
Modo apresentação,
In presentation mode, yes. So, the idea is to increase mobility inside the EU, matching candidates with employers with hard-to-fill vacancies, and this is a complement to the EURES mobility services, and trying to help to overcome the most common obstacles that candidates feel to mobility. These slides show you the target group for this program. So for job seekers, they must be more than 18. They have to be nationals and living in a EU country, Norway or Iceland, or be long-term residents in one of these countries. Of course, they want to be interested in moving to another EU country for a job or a traineeship or an apprenticeship. If it's for a job or an apprenticeship, the contract must be minimum 6 months. If it is a traineeship, it can be 3 months contract. It doesn't matter what your qualification level is, you are entitled to apply for the supports. We also support employers if they are SMEs, and it's more or less the same rules, 6 months for jobs and apprenticeships, 3 months for traineeships. This is the main rule. So just to be clear about the geographical scope, job seekers or employers or jobs in the UK, Liechtenstein and Switzerland are not eligible for this type of support, okay? What support do we give? This is just the minimum information. We can give support for a language course, for the job interview, and for the recognition. And then if you found, when you found a job, a relocation allowance and also a family allowance. The supplementary trip allowance that you see here connected to relocation or interview is when you come from uttermost region or you come from a very difficult economic background, you can have a supplementary help, okay? But the 4 main supports are for job interview, language, recognition, and then for traineeships and apprenticeships also. As I told you, SMEs can also benefit. You will have the chance to know more about this program if you contact us or you contact your EURES advisor. So you can see in the slide you have an email dedicated just for this support program, tms@efp.pt. But be aware of this golden rule. Always contact us before you make your interview trip, before you register in the school to know a new language, before you relocate, before the integration program of the employer. If you don't contact us before, you will not be eligible. So I would really like to stress this golden rule. And now I won't take more time, and we'll give the floor to you. I will give the permission to all participants to have their microphones on and their cameras on if they want. And please use this time wisely to ask your questions. Please keep them as general as possible so that all participants can benefit, because we will share in the chat an email where you can ask more personal, more specific questions to our colleagues. So please raise your hand if you want to. If you prefer, you can ask your questions on the chat, as you wish. Take this opportunity to talk to us. Yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the excellent presentation. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. I'm a bit shy. I wanted to type in the comment section, but I couldn't. So I think I'll just make use of the audio without my video. I'm sorry about that.
It's fine.
Yeah. I wanted to ask that I am a Nigerian, currently resident in Portugal. I came in on a job seeker visa, but I've not been able to secure a job. So my question is it possible for me from Portugal here to relocate to Norway? That's my first question. And secondly, the language barrier that I experienced in Portugal, how can I come to Norway and not experience that same language barrier, because I only speak English? So how can I integrate easily into the job markets in Norway? Thank you.
I think I'm going to start. As I said in my presentation, a third country national in non-EU will have to have a work permit, so that you have to do your job search on your own. And as I said, also most jobs require English language skills. So depending really on what kind of background you have, I'm sorry, but we don't have time to take your background specifically here now. It's impossible for us to say here and now whether it's going to be easier or more difficult for you to find a job in Norway than in Portugal. I'm sorry, but there are so many elements in this. So basically, as a non-EU national, you have to find a job on your own and to apply for a work permit. And work permits to non-EU nationals in Norway are granted on quite a restrictive basis, meaning mainly to candidates who have the qualifications that are needed by Norwegian employers and Norwegian sectors. I'm sorry, I just can't give you a better answer than that.
Okay. Thank you. I will share with you an email from Eli, who is one of our colleagues joining us today, so that you can ask more personalized questions after the webinar is over in the next few days. But now I would like to read the question that Luis shared with us in the chat. He says he did an internship in Oslo last year, but felt it was difficult to find a job after. He asks how much time is common to wait until you can get a job after you start applying. You work there as a designer and content creator, okay? And he's congratulating you on your presentation. So, a designer and content creator.
Yeah. Okay, Annelieva, do you want to ask to answer, or should I?
Yes, please feel free to answer
Okay.
first.
Well, from our perspective as EURES advisors, meaning that we are in contact with companies in our country who are looking for Europeans. And designer and content creator is not one of the most demanded profiles. So I would guess that that's one of the reasons why it wasn't easy for you to find a job. I don't know if you speak Norwegian, that could help. You have, as I mentioned in my presentation, there is a list of websites for looking for jobs in ICT on the website that I am writing here, I think, in the mail now, in the chat now. It's called looking for a website for job search in ICT on the link I just put in the chat now. So have a look at those specific websites and see if you have a better chance. Another thing I want to say is whenever you apply for jobs in Norway, you will often, unfortunately, experience not getting any answer. And that's why one of the reasons I mentioned in my presentation that always do a follow-up on your application, no matter what. Most of the companies in Norway are small, meaning that they don't have a recruitment department who can answer all applications. And many companies in Norway do receive many applications depending on the jobs. So it's up to you to follow up your own application and to actually ask for an answer. If you mean that you were qualified for the job that you applied for, you are absolutely allowed to call the recruiter, call the company about 10 days after applying and asking, what did you think of my application? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. There is also a question about the possibility of finding jobs for paddle coaches. I saw some people paddling in Oslo when I was there last time for paddle coaches. Do you know if this is, well, maybe to look on the same website that you just mentioned, maybe, Sandrine, yeah?
I can't remember. I've seen many jobs for exactly for paddle, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's
My
it.
guess is that you will have to look on the western coast of Norway, where there is a lot of summer tourism, and they are most likely to look for jobs for different kinds of instructors and guides. The most common type of guide of water we have heard of is rafting and river and whitewater guides, not paddling. But it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I'm not sure it's such a big segment.
Yeah, but for sure. Yeah, you never know. It's nice to hear, and also you gave information about the other ones. Maybe they could be interested for any other candidates that are listening. Also wanted to know about waitresses. That was in your presentation, and it's a sort of occupation, right? For waitresses, you have the need. I think I saw it in your presentation. Yeah. Let me see.
Yes.
What more? So for Ricardo Matias is asking, I don't know if you already answered on the chat or not, is saying that his wife and he are becoming postdoctoral researchers by the end of the year in polar and aquaculture science fields. And Norway is a strong candidate for the future, for their future. They are a family, they have a 3-year-old child. They ask if there is support for an easy transition in Norway.
Susanna, I uploaded a link to EURES. They're giving
Good.
information and tips about research vacancies and jobs. So I would recommend also getting in touch directly with them. But also you can always get in touch with EURES advisors for further information and links. So it was Ricardo, yes. So have a look in the chat for the link. to your access, and then probably you will find the information you need, hopefully.
Good. About the possibilities of finding a job as a waitress, the candidate is asking if the fact that she doesn't speak the native language could be a problem. I think in all the accommodation and the HoReCa sector, this may be important in the future to learn Norwegian, right?
Yeah, but it's okay to start with English. Like here in the Oslo region, you might speak English when you go to restaurants. Also, us Norwegians, so we have to order in English sometimes because there are a lot of English speaking working in this sector.
Okay, so for starting or for getting the job, English is enough, and then with time you learn the language.
Yeah, you should always learn Norwegian.
Yeah. Even for a better integration in the country, it's always good to know the native language. Yes, I am sure.
We have
José
one more.
Antunes,
Last
José
question.
Antunes is asking if there is any website where we can check companies that provide certification or courses in order to work on a specific job, more on electricity area, the electric field.
I think Eli is about to answer on the chat, but what I can
Good.
say orally is that in generally speaking, Norwegian companies will be looking for skilled persons. They will not hire you to train you. They expect it, if you apply for their jobs, that you have the certifications and the courses that you need to work. Like you're talking about the electricity area, what Norwegian companies are looking for are actually electricians with their full vocational training and education. And just when it comes to electricity, I just want to remind you that if you're an electrician and want to work in Norway, you will have to get an authorization to work as an electrician in Norway. So electrician is a regulated profession.
Good. Thank you. Please turn on your microphone and your camera if you want to and ask your question, Fernanda.
I just want to thank for the presentation. It was really clear. But I got a question. For a family of 4 people with 2 lorry drivers and 1 university student and 1 high school student, how and where should we start looking if we want to move to Norway? Thank you.
Thank you, Fernanda.
I can maybe start. Well, it depends, of course, on your background. If you can do the works that are in demand in Norway, then it will be easier to look for jobs. But I would recommend getting in touch with us, EURES advisors, for further information, tips, and links to the job portals, websites to look for a job, and of course to talk more about your backgrounds, what type of jobs you're interested in. So Sandrine already presented the jobs in demand, but for further information, please contact us on email. Thank you.
So it's 12 o'clock. I don't know if there are no other questions. My colleagues from EURES Portugal can help me. No other questions? We covered everything?
Yes, we have
I think
covered
so.
everything.
Yes.
Okay, so we thank our colleagues from Norway again. Thank you so much. It was really clear. We had lots of messages in the chat congratulating you for a very clear presentation and very thorough, very well done. So thank you again. I would like to stress that we will send you the presentation with the links available for you to click and see through all the information that was given this morning. The recording will be available on the YouTube channel for EURES Portugal. our Norwegian friends are there for you to answer your questions from the side of EURES Portugal. We are also available. You have the TMS email if you want to know more about the support. So we wrap up for this morning. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here with us, and we hope to see you soon. And please stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.